A few days ago, I got a boatload of samples from a good friend of mine who I happened to meet up with. I saw that she was from the same general area of the country that I was from, so I told her that, and she messaged me, and we started talking. And the first thing she wanted to do was send me some samples. So I said yes, of course. And one of the things that she sent me were several samples of this. And it just happens to be An Era of Despair by Imaginary Authors. I'd only tried one of their other scents before. It was the Cobra and the Canary, which I have reviewed on this channel before. And she also happened to send me 4 other Imaginary Author samples, along with about probably 50 others. Very, very generous. Very generous. But I wanted to talk about this one, An Era of Despair. This was released earlier this year, in 2015, by Josh Meyer, who is the nose of Imaginary Authors. The scent was also only offered in a limited edition release during the summer, if I understand things correctly, of this year. So the time to purchase it may be already passed or maybe coming to a head pretty quickly. So if this review sounds interesting at all, buy it up while you can. You may not have too much more time. As I'm sure everyone knows, the entire line of Imaginary Authors is based on a series of imaginary books written by, you guessed it, imaginary authors who didn't actually exist. But the whole thing is about creating a storyline that the scent is sort of built to follow. And Josh is really, really great at doing that. He's sort of preternatural talent for being able to take a storyline and distill from it a scent that picks up every nuance in the plot. Just really, really good. So I thought that the story behind Cobra and the Canary, like I said, I already reviewed it, was especially evocative and appropriate for the way it smelled. So I wanted to share the same story for Era of Despair, the same ad material, the same, I guess, précis of the novel, the imaginary novel. So here's the summary of the novel. When Vivian Gwynn's parents mysteriously disappear 1 month before her 18th birthday, it foils an elaborate plan she had to kill them herself. In her search for clues as to their whereabouts, she finds an elegant mink coat and a safe full of valuables in her mother's cedar closet. Excuse me. Keeping the coat but selling everything else, she embarks on a glamorous adventure that takes her from the small Tennessee town where she grew up to luxurious penthouses in Manhattan, runways in Milan, and finally the castle in Switzerland from which she learns she is a descendant. No expense is spared in Viv's valiant quest to shake the sadness that plagued her upbringing, and she quickly learns it's not riches that bring happiness, but happiness that bring riches. Excuse me. So, for the actual smell: musk, cedar, saffron, and sadness. Apparently I'm one of the only people that finds that really, really funny. Maybe it's just my weird sort of morbid sense of humor, but I've told that to several people, and none of them really appreciate it. find it funny, laugh. I don't know. It just made me slap my knee when I first heard it. Anyway, so those are the main things you're dealing with: saffron, cedar, musk, sadness. I think, and it's the vial sort of leaks. So when I picked it up, I sort of got it all over my hands. So all I have to do is that now when I smell it. I also get maybe some rose or carnation or something. Maybe something slightly floral. It's not listed in the notes, but I think it's there. So, like I said, I have sniffed Sauvlon before. Haven't done a review on it. Have smelled Copper and the Canary and have done a review on it, and now I'm talking about An Air of Despair. To my nose, they all seem like they're kind of variations on a theme. I mean, this isn't to say they're all the same, but they're all kind of related to one another. I think the theme here is soft, maybe slightly grassy scents with varying degrees of hay and leather and tobacco. That's what they seem to have in common. Now, you can make 100 different scents. I mean, I'm not trying to say that they're all the same thing. They're certainly not. They all smell wonderfully unique, but they do sort of have a similar DNA, I guess. And that sort of soft, grassy leather, hay-like, tobacco-like thing seems to be running through at least those three scents for me on my skin. So it was appropriate, I think, that Vivian's mother's closet was made out of cedar, because on my skin that's really the predominant note that I get from the scent. There's also a musk, which I think is really the perfect perfume ingredient for evoking a sense of nostalgia, which a lot of these stories happen to do. They're all historical. They all sort of seem, they're all sort of accompanied by these pictures from the 20s and 30s and 40s and 50s. So they sort of make you think about a bygone time. And musk is just the perfect ingredient for evoking times past, I think. The fragrance doesn't change a whole lot on my skin over time. It's pretty linear, but I'm totally okay with that because I love the smell. So if I love the smell, I don't really need it to change that much. It starts and ends a sort of soft, woody cedar with, like I said, that fresh green tobacco, which is probably the result of a saffron that I read off earlier. It's really an absolutely beautifully rich cedar that's really lovely. So I hope they bring it back sometime and they add it to their permanent collection, because it would be a real shame if this were to disappear forever after this month or next month. So basically what I did to write the review was I spread it on my wrist, and now I sort of spilled it all over my hands. And I just sort of wore it throughout the day. So I never really did a full application until inadvertently just now. I think it's one of the softer scents from Imaginary Authors. It lasts maybe 5 to 6 hours. And with the last couple of hours being sort of a close to the skin scent. But if you ever want something to take you back to your great-grandparents' cedar chest or cedar closet, this will do the trick, I think. Assuming you didn't want to murder them, like Vivian did. And even if you did, it'll still do the trick. So, stop being so murdery and start wearing more perfume. Really, I mean, I think I would buy a full bottle of this. Maybe not by the end of the summer, but if they added this to a permanent collection, maybe next year sometime, I would. This is definitely full bottle worthy. And at $85 for 60 mil, what are you paying? Something like $1.35, $1.40 per mil. That's, for a niche scent of this quality, it's an absolute steal. And there's really no reason why, if you don't like fragrances like this, you shouldn't have it in your collection. But at least get a sample. Air of Despair, Imaginary Authors. Thanks, Josh. You're a genius. Bye.